From Edinburgh. Travelling along the short stretch of railway line between Edinburgh's Waverley and Haymarket stations, the castle looms high above you on the eroded rocky remains of an ancient volcano. This stronghold overlooks a city steeped in history. The medieval old town contrasts with the Georgian new town, creating one of the finest cityscapes in the world. Scotland's capital is one of the most popular cities in the world in which to live, work and study. It's a major financial centre and has vital university research facilities. It's also the home of Scotland's Parliament, which lies beside Holyrood Palace and Park. Members of the royal family stay in Holyrood Palace when they're in Edinburgh, just as their predecessors have done since the 1500s. The vast public space of Holyrood Park is, in effect, the palace back garden. The park is a wonderful natural and historic environment. You can wander along the side of small, quiet lochs or take an exhilarating climb to enjoy magnificent views over the city. A high point is Arthur's Seat, which can be seen for miles around. It's another part of the volcano that erupted around 340 million years ago. One violent explosion after another hurled blocks of rock high into the air and spewed out red-hot lava and ash from the crater until the volcano eventually died. There's not much volcano left now as a result of changes through time. The landscape you can see today, with its dramatic cliffs and crags, was carved out by ice sheets during the Ice Age. Holyrood Park might be surrounded by city, but it's a surprisingly wild area of countryside, offering many different habitats. Numerous species of animals and plants, birds and insects live among the mixed woodlands, open grassland, reed beds and wetlands. You might find toads with their dry, warty-looking brown-green skin, as well as newts, which are quite difficult to spot. Both feed on insects and earthworms and go to the water to breed. Toads lay long strings of spawn round the stalks of aquatic plants, while newts lay their eggs singly, wrapped up in leaves like those of the tiny blue-flowered water forget-me-not. The flowering plants of the park also attract some strikingly coloured moths and butterflies. There's the glossy black six-spot burnet moth, which has scarlet marks over its long, narrow wings. The northern Argus butterflies are more subdued, with brown upper wings bordered with tiny orange spots and silvery underwings. More familiar, multicoloured butterflies flutter through the park too, including the peacock, the red admiral, and the small tortoiseshell. After you've travelled 20 miles or so, your train will take you past another of the royal palaces and parks, the magnificent ruins of Linlithgow Palace. Alongside it you'll see St Michael's Church, with its tower crowned by a striking open spire of shining aluminium. This masterpiece of modern architectural engineering stands in dramatic contrast to the historic beauty of the adjacent medieval buildings. The palace provided an elegant and convenient residence for the Stuart kings and queens of Scotland. Here, midway between their castles at Edinburgh and Stirling, the royal family could stay and entertain their guests. James I began the palace in 1424, and each of his successors added to it, creating a sumptuous residence of European renown. Mary, Queen of Scots, was born here in 1542. But in 1603, when Mary's son, James VI, was also crowned King of England, the royal court moved to London, and Linlithgow Palace was largely abandoned. The ruins overlook a small loch, which is one of only two natural lowland waters in the region. It was created at the end of the last ice age when a massive block of ice was dumped there. Today it's a haven for wildfowl and a good place to wander.